and this will be Metalopolis. This is a TvT. This is PoltPrime, your most recent GSL winner, who is Kirsch, and against BlastKalin, who is Unique Esports. So in the right-hand side here, we have the blue Terran in the 3 o'clock position, BlastKalin, aka Unique Esport. In the left-hand side, we have your red Terran in the 9 o'clock position, PoltPrime, aka Kirsch, in this game. So we do see a cross-position TvT on Metalopolis. I am excited. Should be a great game. Obviously, cross-position TvT on Metalopolis it's a rather long spawn position. Any sort of really quick bio pressure may not be as good. Although I say that, you never know with these guys. They are so good. Quick Hellions are, of course, really popular in TvT. I'm sorry, Blue Flame Hellions and TvT are really popular. It can be used to harass across the map, especially in such a long spawn distance. You do see a lot of Banshee play tend to be out of these positions, and hopefully we will see a really good macro game. Should be pretty interesting. We do see BlastKalin is making the decision to put a supply depot at the front of his base. Bruce Polt is putting supply depot at the back of his base. I mean, if you wall in around this mineral line, kind of thinking ahead, you can trap any sort of Blue Flame or other type of Hellion drops later in the game. So it will be pretty interesting to see what these guys choose to do. We do see a 12 racks going down for BlastKalin. We do see 12 racks going down for PoltPrime. Identical builds so far through the game. If we can look at the APM, we can see that Polt isn't necessarily spamming. Of course, there's a little bit of lag, I guess, from playing from Korea. If he is playing from Korea, he is throwing down a 13 gas. We can see over 300 APM out of BlastKalin here. He is also throwing down a gas. Pretty standard stuff in TvT. I mean, you can 1 or 2 racks expand in TvT, but it is quite risky, especially if a very good player picks up on it. He can exploit and pressure you quite hard. We do see a rather quicker scout going out for BlastKalin here than Polt, but we do see Polt's SCV is leaving at the same exact time. Let's see where that SCV, if he's pulling the SCV over here to see if he can intercept the other scouting SCV. That is so smart. He's gotten the same scouting information in a little bit of time. Obviously, close position is not possible on this map, I don't think, but he is scouting close position anyways, maybe just autopiloting over there. And we can see that his supply depot is now going down at the front of his base. You can see the scouting SCV will come up through here. The Marine will pick it off pretty quick. I don't know if he's even going to see the gas. He didn't even see the gas, but he did see the 1 racks. So that is pretty interesting, but he does need to get that out of there or he's going to die. We do see the Marine sitting up in the front here. Another depot going out to wall off at the front. We can see Polt's SCV is coming around here. I doubt he'll make it in the base. You see this Marine position right here. It's going to block it out. He's going to shoot it the whole way up, and then he should be able to kite it out from getting in the base. So, but he does see the tech lab. That's pretty big. So he knows he has gas. He knows a Reaper is definitely possible, which is exactly what's going to come out here. We can see out of Polt over here a factory going down. So we do see a barracks into factory. There's no add-on on the barracks. We don't see a second gas complete quite yet, but it is just about to finish. So we can see constant SCV production out of both of these guys. Obviously, we do see a command center dropping now for BlastKalin. So he might use the Reaper to feel safe, to keep Polt uncomfortable from moving out on the map, and then take advantage of that in order to expand behind it. Whereas Polt, on the other hand, is not expanding quite yet. He is actually throwing down a factory. He may be going into Banshee play. I would not be surprised to see a starport drop immediately after this, and then a tech lab on the factory, or possibly a Hellion out first and then a tech lab. So we do see the Hellion coming out first. I would assume we're going to see a tech lab following this, and we're going to see Banshee play out of Polt. The thing is, when you expand this fast, it's harder for you to deal with the Banshees. You're not going to have the starport up to get the Viking up to shoot away. You're not going to have the engineering bay quite yet, possibly, although he might be able to get it up by the time it gets here. And non-stimmed Marines against the Banshee. Banshee can obviously kite Marines that don't have stim forever, but the Banshee is still a little bit far away if that is indeed what he's going for. We do see Tech Lab going down, so I do think it's going to be a Banshee play. We can see this Hellion is poking out. It's a great scout. It's quick. Can get away from Marines. It can kite Marines. Really good. He's going to clear out the tower. He might even go clear out the other tower. We can see him checking over here. He's probably checking for some proxies to make sure there's no Stargates or weird Raxes or anything sitting around. He doesn't know much yet. All he knows is there's a tech lab. He doesn't know that there is a command center coming up quite yet. And we do see that Banshee production has begun for Polt. He's sitting here at the front of the base, and he's going to sit here and poke at the supply depot. He does see the tech lab on the factory. Again, that's pretty big. There's a starport coming down behind it. It could be a quick tank push, but I think from these positions, he's going to assume it's a Banshee. At a Polt, we do see Cloak is beginning in production, and the Banshee is already rallied over to his opponent's base. I do think it might be wise for BlastKalin to either get a Raven or a Viking to press the We can see the medevac is moving over, or the starport is moving over to the reactor, and Polt scans it. He does see the extra command center. You can see a little bit of a Hellion battle going on here. It does look like BlastKalin's Hellion might be slightly ahead, or it's a tie. Who's going to win the game? Oh my gosh. Oh, and Polt's one does just barely win. We can see that the Banshee is coming over here. I don't think he saw that Banshee. So that was a bigger deal than you think, because he just gets that little longer of a time to prepare. He does jump the Reaper off right away, so he doesn't get hit with that. We can see 2 Vikings coming out of Kalin's base. We do see a missile turret going down. It's going to be able to give him vision. The 2 Vikings are going to come out and be able to chase his way. The Cloak is not done yet, so Polt is probably going to lose this Banshee if he's not careful, although he does get away, and I don't know why he pulled those Vikings off. He probably could have picked that off. Do you see a Raven coming out? He probably pulled them off because he was afraid of another Banshee coming in the back, but he does have the turret and the Marines here, and a turret over here. Really nice turret placement. I really like this. Covers vision. Like, you know, in TvT, it's not a lot about hitting it with the turret. It's about giving you vision, the Cloak, but we do see a Raven coming out. Out of Polt here, we do see a lot of Marines. We see a tank coming out. Siege mode has not been started yet, but we do see just constant Marine production. He's bringing this Banshee back. I assume he will repair it. So he is moving out with his tank and Marines right now. He doesn't even have Siege mode, but I don't think he really cares right now. He's going to go out and see what sort of damage he can do. It's obviously going to be a little bit difficult for him to defend this. He may not be able to take his expansion right away. We can see he's throwing the bunker down here in the low ground, but Polt knows that his ground army is not going to be quite as strong, and we're going to see this Banshee in the back. It's already positioned and ready to go. It's going to come in with Cloak and try to pick off SCVs while this tank Marine push comes up, and we can see he's going to throw the command center down, and Polt is coming right now. I'm not sure he knows it's coming. He doesn't have any vision of the map, and this Banshee is going to poke in the back of the base and distract him, although that great turret position is going to handle it, but he's going to be able to poke away at these buildings. Ooh, lag. We can see the Banshee has 8 health left, just barely surviving. He's getting in that bunker right now. Oh no, he is in big, big trouble. I don't know if he can be able to handle these. He's already salvaging the bunker. He's moving this back in. I assume that he's going to close up the front of his wall. Of course, there is not siege mode, but what is going to be able to come out here and hit this Banshee? With the Marines out here covering it, the Vikings can't come out. He's going to pick away at these supply depots, and he is essentially defenseless right now. I'm not sure what he can possibly do to defend this attack, although his Marine count may be a little bit higher at the moment. We can see him landing the Vikings. He's preparing for what is going to be a tough battle. He's pulling all of his SCVs. The Vikings are on the ground. I assume that the auto turret may be dropped. He doesn't even get that down. Of course, the Banshee out for BlastKalin is going to push him back. It does look like BlastKalin is going to hold this off, although we can see that Polt is now moving up with this Banshee being ever so annoying. He's just sort of taking the shots right here. There are 2 tanks heading now for Polt. Siege mode is not quite done yet, or it's not even started yet, rather. But this Banshee is being so obnoxious. He needs to land this command center so he can use a scan and take out. You can see he's positioning himself right below the Banshee. I assume he will scan. He's already lost another tank. He needs to get rid of this Banshee. Unbelievable. And he finally does get the Banshee, but he has taken so much damage. We look at the units lost at. We can see he's lost so many more resources. Polt is being relentless with this push, just sending tank after tank, and he has expanded at the same time. But we can see that this Banshee over here has 7 kills. It's doing all sorts of harass in Polt's base. Being pretty cost effective with this Banshee, it might pull him back in the game. We can see Polt is pushing in here. He has 3 tanks against all these Marines. He does finally have a tank out, but he's probably going to want to push SCVs to repair it. Doing so much damage. Another Banshee coming up through here. Over here in this base, it does look like this Banshee is still doing work. It's up to 16 kills now. Wow, it's probably his saving grace in this game, if he is able to hold this attack off. But we do see another Banshee's about to come out. He is pulling the SCVs back. We have 3 tanks and 2 Marines. As soon as this Banshee comes out, he should be able to handle the tanks. He just needs to deal with those Marines. He scans and kills the Banshee. I do think he's about to clean this attack. We do see a random stray tank out here, which he's probably going to pick up for free. You might want to just pull his tanks back. Try not to lose any more SCVs. Let's check and see where we're at in the game. So we do see even supply and even harvest account. Quite the battle so far. This Banshee over here, I think, had 16 kills the last time I checked. If we looked at workers killed, they've both killed about 15 workers. So BlastKalin really did himself a favor with this Banshee. If this Banshee isn't over here, Polt gets so far ahead. But this Banshee was sitting here the whole time while Polt was microing this attack. He very, very nearly broke him, but that was a fantastic hold by BlastKalin, pulling the SCVs just at the right time. He did lose a lot of his add-ons on his buildings, but he is throwing them all down right away. You can see out of Polt, he's going for this mass Marine tank play, it looks like. And we can see that this Banshee is coming back here. So he has 2 Vikings. Ooh, 3 Vikings. Oh, that hurts. He brought the Vikings over to defend the Banshee. If he could have brought it around the back here, he could have sat it here and forced more Vikings out of Polt. We do see more Banshee production coming out of him. He did just start Cloak and then canceled it pretty quickly. We do see Combat Shield and Stimpak coming out, so it looks like we're going to see Marine Tank Viking out of BlastKalin as well. We do see this Banshee down here. Wow, he's just going to pick off random kills. Even if he forces a scan, he could probably get that out of there, and he is going to get it out of there. So he's throwing a turret down there. It will give him vision, and we can see that Banshee is immediately coming back and throwing opponent bombs. He does force another scan. He does get 1 more SCV before he goes down. We can look at the workers killed. He's leading that count with 17 and 15 right now. We do see Polt has just started tank production, and he's continuing marine production. You see a tech lab going down. Masuga has to get stim and or combat shields, and we can see that another Banshee is coming out here for Polt. So we just see relentless Banshee pressure, whereas BlastKalin has seemed to cease Banshee production at this point. He has one Banshee, a couple Vikings, and a Medevac. We can see a big push coming out here for Polt. He is ahead by about 20 in supply. This is a really nice timing. Siege mode is just over halfway done, but I assume he'll pressure. He is pulling this Banshee up in here. Oh wow, he might even focus down this starport. He's going to force another scan. All these scans are so expensive. He's cutting it around. The starport is burning. It's going to force him to pull SCVs at the same time that he has his attention distracted. He's pulling these tanks and marines up here, and he may just go for it. I don't know. He might want to wait till siege mode, but no, he has a greater marine count. Well, he does have an extra tank. The tank is coming up here in the back. This Banshee's doing a lot of damage. Oh, this attack is not going to turn out well for Polt. Siege mode is not quite done yet, and it's possible he attacked just a little bit too early, so it's a bit of a painful attack. We can see more units are being rallied down. This Banshee is up here doing more work. This other Banshee is going to try and pick off tanks. I'm not sure he even has a scan left. He just needs to be careful to stay out of the turret range. He does have a scan up now. The one Banshee does lose its cloak, but these Banshees are doing so much damage. We can see that Polt is continuing to rally units down here, and he does have siege mode done. This is opponent of siege mode done. Opponent does not have siege mode even started yet, much less done. He is throwing out another Raven. We can see that Polt is pulling into a lead. He has almost a 10 Harvester lead. He is continuing to rally units out. These two Vikings are coming over here. He may be trying to pick off any Medevacs or Banshees that are being rallied over, and there is a Banshee continually rallied. We do see an attack coming up here. He doesn't have siege mode yet. He's going to push his advantage. He's going to cause him to pull SCVs. Does have siege mode. I'm curious why he doesn't just set up a contain here, but the greater tank numbers of BlastKalin are going to push him back, and we can see he's chasing around these Vikings in the middle of the map. We can see that Stim and +1 attack is starting for PoltPrime. BlastKalin, on the other hand, he has still not started siege mode, but he's keeping these tank counts. It's really interesting to see these two players do all sorts of early tank play, just skipping siege mode for the greater tank count, and then just using sort of the sheer force of the mech as they push through. We've seen Polt use it pretty effectively so far, but he did manage to hold off this big attack. We can see he's moving out here now with these tanks and the Raven and the two Medevacs and the Vikings. Could be a really interesting push. Polt does have siege mode though, so if he just sieges up here at the front of his base, it's going to be difficult for his opponent to come in here. And you can see that he is pushing out yet again. Does he have vision of this push coming? He did see it, I think, with the towers. And it looks like he's about to engage us in the middle of the map. And he is sieging. He called out of siege mode. As soon as he sees siege mode, he's probably going to have to turn around. But if these Marines behind him can do so much damage, throwing down the auto turret, he does have the tanks up. He's going to want to pull back. He's trying to pull him back in that blast range. Very smart. He doesn't. He just started siege mode. Perhaps he forgot siege mode? I'm not really sure. Because he did start it right there, and maybe he tried to siege and realized he didn't have it. I'm not sure. It could be jitters, could be intentional. Don't ask me, I have no idea. So we can see that Stim combat shield's about halfway done. Stim is about to finish for Polt, and +1 attack for BlastKalin did just start. We can see this push is coming over here. And just continuing production out of all these bases. We can see a command center is about to finish for Polt. That will be his third. He's pulled into a nice little about 8 Harvester lead right now. He has about a 10 supply lead. Let's look at the tank count. We do see the tank count has evened up. BlastKalin did have a bit of a tank lead before, but we can see the tank count is even. He does have a bit of an advantage in Marines. And Polt has, of course, that one Banshee. And we can see he's moving this Marine out here and moving this SCV out here. Throwing down the sensor tower, really great. Phenomenal. We can see a big push coming out here from Polt. Look how smart he is. He's expanding and pushing at the same time. He's sieging up here because he does know his army is out here. He'll probably siege up as soon as he sees this army. We can see that BlastKalin is sieging up. These Marines are probably going to hit the blast. So we do see a bit of a standoff right here. At the same time, there is a Marine up here who's going to scout this third. We can see them scanning back and forth, hitting each other. Both these tanks. It does look like Polt's going to probably win this tank battle right here. And we can see that with this sensor tower up, he's going to be able to see any sort of drop play or any sort of counter coming over here. We can see that Polt has decided to unsiege and move back, I believe. And there's a big drop coming in his base, and Polt's army is completely out of position. He's trying to cut the drop off, but he's not going to get there. And his army is way out of position, and with this siege position here, he's not going to be able to break it. This will do a lot of damage. He does have a tank siege in the base. We can see he's just going at this line. He's going to try and break the siege line at the same time this drop is going down in the base. So he's going to go up. It looks like he's going to take out all these tanks. This could have been a big mistake by BlastKalin, especially if Polt counters right on his main. And we can see this drop did get cleaned up by this siege tank that was positioned right here. And we do see a GG, well played, good luck from BlastKalin, and Polt does take the game.